Blake, great to see you once again.
Great to be here.
Look, there's been a lot of talk about Silicon Valley corporates moving out of California to Texas and many New Yorkers moving to Florida. Is this happening on a large scale?
Well, a lot of the politicians are in denial on it, but the statistics are pretty clear that there has, during COVID, there's been a huge surge in people moving to lower tax states and also those states that have less of a tendency to lock people down.
What other significant migration patterns are we seeing in the US, and what is driving them?
A lot of people are moving to more rural areas just to have a little more space so that you're not in a high rise. The real estate market in New York's been pretty decimated. A lot of good deals in Manhattan right now. And, a lot of the wealthy people had second homes, third homes, and they started spending time in those vacation homes and then realized, hey, I'm not working in the office anyway. Since I'm working remotely, I'll just change residency, get a lower tax rate, a little more elbow room, and they're pretty happy. So it's no wonder that this migration change has happened.
Do you see cities such as New York or LA trying to attract businesses back, maybe with incentives, or is there no recognition that they have problems?
Now, they are definitely ramping up some of their economic development programs. I've seen some ads run, on the internet and things. So I think the people behind the curtain are seeing that there's really stuff going on. Again, the politicians tend to put up a good front that we're really not losing that many people, and businesses are booming here, but they're changing corporate headquarters as well as moving their employees out.
About economic recovery across the country, where will it be most pronounced and where will recovery take a lot longer? I'd imagine LA would be one of those places it's just been decimated.
Yeah, I mean, and also Northern California, the Bay Area is having a lot of problems. In Southern California, San Diego, I haven't heard as much about, but being a border town, they're going to have they're having issues right now with respect to the border issues.
What about Long Beach? Because you're also headquartered there. And just recently, I think about 2 months ago, we spoke to John Sangmeister from a fabulous restaurant there called Gladstone's. How are they handling things now?
Well, they're open, so he's happy about that. But they did get a couple $100 million, or they're expecting a couple $100 million under the COVID recovery plan. And so that's going to help them a little bit, but they've dug themselves into a pretty deep hole. A lot of businesses, retailers, and things are out of business now. A lot of restaurants closed. So it's going to take some time, and they're they have a lot of convention business there. And I think that's going to be, there's a lot of euphoria with the success of the vaccines that we have, but it's still, I talk to business people every day, and, there's not a bunch of people ready to jump on planes and, start, being in a room full of a couple of thousand people. So it's going to be a slow, very slow. I think the travel industry, they'll get a little bump out of this, but it's going to take a while to get back to normal. I think a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years.
The southern border, it seems to have fallen after the former President Trump was building the wall, keep the country more secure. It seems to be almost a thing of the past. Do we know where the bulk of these immigrants will be relocated from, this influx of immigrants from South America, including Mexico?
I think Texas is probably the hardest hit from the migration. I just read 100,000 people were detained just in February, 78,000 in January. And from what I'm seeing on the news, March will eclipse, both of those, maybe exceed those two combined. It was the largest, influx since 2006. So it's not, it's not boding well for, getting that, all those issues under control.
Will this surge affect the supply and price of labour in some areas? And is this supported by big business and small business?
I would say no. As far as, increasing the labor supply, that really depends on states. So every state's a little different on how closely they look at workers and sign off on their I-9s that are filed to confirm residency. And like California, you're actually, as an employer, you're not allowed to question documents that they provide you. So you could get a California driver's license from somebody or other immigration papers that don't look right, and you're actually not allowed to question those. You just have to take them at face value. Utah, for example, where I live, is very strict, and so there's not as many undocumented workers here as you would have in California. Texas, I can't speak to, but I think they're probably in between the two extremes that I just mentioned.
How will the mass migration affect federal and state budgets?
Yeah, that's, these are all, unbudgeted items, so now all of a sudden the feds are going to be incurring some of these costs. They're going to be pushing some of these to the states. And it's not, as I said, just the hotel stay is budgeted at $83 million. That's not all the food. That's not, medical. That's not temporary facilities. I mean, this is hundreds of millions of dollars, and it'll easily be billions in dealing with all this. You got 100 million people that you didn't plan for, and unlike the Trump administration that kept them in Mexico, they're bringing them over, and a percentage of these, just like the U.S. population, have COVID, and they are, from what I'm hearing and seeing, they're allowing them in and not really tracking them. And I don't know if they're getting vaccines or not, but so it's kind of a crazy time.
If somebody wants to find out more about Holthouse Carlin Van Trigt, how would they contact you, Blake?
So our website is hcvt.com, and you could just Google Blake Christian CPA, and you'll get my contact information that way also.
And finally, the elk problem, how is it looking?
We had probably about 60 elk up on the hill behind us 3 nights ago. We had a couple of heavy days of snow, which we enjoyed skiing this weekend. And usually you can tell when the bad weather's coming because they come out, they eat a lot of food, and then they go hibernate a little bit for a few days. So, but I haven't seen any today.
I sort of picture you, Blake, walking up and down the mountains with your shoes with the long white socks with the feathers poking out the bottom of it, shorts, and a little cap, and yodeling away through the mountains. Blake Christian, CPA and elk herder. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.